the contemporary arts are culturally caged, and there are all different sorts of reasons. Our interactions with computers, engineering, if you're working between art, science and technology, because you have the word art, somehow you are diminished. You are somewhat, less of a discipline. But there is also something else. There is a relationship of power. So as much as we are caged with these nets all around us, there is something else that is going on. What is our relationship of power to the institutions that surround us? And this is an X back to the financial institutions that we live with. And we were saying before, one of the issues that we're looking at are the economics. Sanatorium was saying, we are not looking for sponsors. And it's a really good, we're looking for very particular kind of sponsor, that is somebody that understands the sort of artworks that we want to do.
To me is again an issue of where Fed is or where opportunities are, simply because it's a new space and therefore you can you have broader spaces on which to test assumptions. It is not fully clear to me all the times where the market is in the digital sense, whereas in the physical ones, in the physical worlds, you see more structured and organized markets. One could say that you are basically switching references. You are switching who is in power, to use your terminology before, whether it is the technology or whether it is money or whether it is sets of relations or whether it is simply fashion, fed, or...
I am called Elif Aiter in first life, and I am called Alpha Hour in the second life. And I operate a fashion design store. Since the topic of this getting together today is the economics of art, Gianfranco, I guess, figured that it would be appropriate for me to be here. Because this is in fact an economic enterprise which works upon a profit system. I have all the information right there. And it's a fashion design store which creates virtual apparel for avatars in Second Life. However, it has a twist. There are 5 fashion designers who all have 5 completely distinctive styles and who are working together as a group, as an initiative, if you will. Except that all of these 5 fashion designers are actually me. So it is me, myself, and I that is operating a fashion design store in Second Life, which is working on a profit system, generating about somewhere around $700 a month, selling avatars to avatars in Second Life.
So for a lot of artists and cultural producers in Istanbul, the problem is where to get money to do projects, and in many ways the strategies had to foreshadow what is now also happening, especially in Western Europe, where state funding is getting less and less, and I'm wondering how it is in Italy. Disaster. And have looked for different types of sponsorship, or we've heard sort of not really working with sponsors, corporate sponsors in that sense, but trying to find very alternative models of circulating, showing, exhibiting. And just on a quick side note, some of you might know this already, but there's actually a fanzine called Kalisakent, Apricot City, which you can get here in Karakuruk from the mobile photocopy. I'm sure you've seen them, the photocopy, the people who have the mobile photocopy cards. And it's a fanzine that only exists with them and can only go and buy it there, which is an initiative by Istanbul-based artist Dilek Winchester, who's exactly experimenting with these forms. How can we distribute our kinds of artworks, not unsimilar to what you're trying to do with your gallery, through different fora and different formats, which can be freedom and unfreedom at the same time.
Didn't want to work with a sponsor, because when you have a big sponsor you're working with, it has some strict ideas about art, his ideas about art, and that in a way is not the way we look at things. So we prefer to finance ourselves.
We are looking to sponsorship like a partnership. First, they have to know what we are doing and what is our situation, what is our position. We are trying to show our position, and then maybe we can work with sponsor. To beginning time, if we can start the work with sponsorships, it becomes for me to come like a company. Our projects can be company for the sponsor.
My name is Onur Yazıcıgil. I can call myself, I guess, a graphic designer, but more a type designer. I've been designing typefaces in the past 3 years, and I got into this whole realm when I was searching historical archive libraries in the United States, especially one that is in Indiana, University of Notre Dame's Special Collection Archive. I got to see and touch Eric Gill's, his original metal casted typefaces like Gill Sans and Perpetua, and then I really I fell in love with the whole process, and then I started to sketch, and then I realized that this is really what I wanted to do. It is basically expressing form as well as embedding a utilitarian function into that whole form, but also expressing the culture behind the culture that you're coming from, or your characteristic style or whatever. But that's why I find this pretty important.
Of course, I don't have precise answers, but probably one hint is that you are playing around different rules and different roles. One could say one idea is to have a situation where you are closer to a patronage type of situation, whereby you are free to say what you have. In other cases, you are putting yourself under market rules. And to me, the way I see it, for the little I am being exposed to the relationship with art, is that I see different rules being put in place by different roles. depending on who you put at the center, whether you put at the center the customer, whether you put at the center the sponsor, whether you put at the center the artist and the artwork, and whether you are playing, and who are the partners in crime, I would say, to let you not put yourself into a cage.
Just before I pass over, I just quickly also want to say that because corporate and private sponsorship has been so important in Turkey, I hear you were at Apokradi Cultural Center this morning, at least some of you. The problem has been in Turkey that while there are these privately funded cultural centers which do extremely important work, it's been very confusing in terms of, are they really public institutions or are they private institutions? Meaning that we have very, very little transparency. And when you have very little transparency, you also have less freedom to make informed decisions and decide as an artist if these institutions are indeed organizations that you want to be working with or not.
With that, my suggestion is try to engage, because you never know what kind of possibilities actually are there. That's probably my only good advice after all of this that I can actually say, is that probably the only strength that the arts have is that of operating internationally, is developing synergies, cooperating, and at times, even in most difficult times, supporting movements and supporting people, and therefore probably the flexibility and the mobility of the artists across the media and across national borders is what actually has saved the fine art across the century.